Hi Cliff fans and welcome to another one of my 5 minute Cliff album reviews, and today I'm going to review probably my favourite rock and roll album of all time, Me and My Shadows, from Cliff and the Shadows 1960. And yeah, this album got to number 2 in the British album chart back in 1960, and as I say, it's probably my favourite rock and roll album of all time. Absolutely love it. It's my favourite album of all Cliff's early albums. Um, one of the reasons probably is because it's entirely Cliff in the Shadows. I think it's the only album that was completely Cliff in the Shadows songs. All sung by Cliff, all played by the Shadows. Um, yeah, I'll go through some of the tracks. Opens with I'm Gonna Get You, which is just a great rocker to the start of the album. I absolutely love every song on this album. This great opener, I'm Gonna Get You. Um, I think that was written by Hank Bruce and Jet Harris. Absolutely love it. Followed by You and I, which is a lovely little track as well. Followed by another Ian Samuel classic, I Cannot Find the True Love. Followed by probably one of my favourite, if not my favourite song on the album, Evergreen Tree, which is absolutely beautiful. Followed by She's Gone, which is just a great rocker. Left Out Again, it's kind of slows down a little bit the album. You're Just the One to Do It. It's another fun track. And the first half of the album closes with a great rocker called Lamp of Love, which is absolutely fantastic. Second half of the album opens with Chopping and Changing, which is just another one of my favourite tracks on the album. Great rocker, again by Ian Samuel, who wrote Move It, Dynamite, High Class Babies. Great rock and roll for Cliff. Ian Samuel wrote around this time. Followed by We Had It Made. And I believe was the... I remember listening to a Jet Harris interview a few years ago, and the DJ mentioned that this song had like over 100 takes on it, and Jet hadn't got a clue what the song was. He couldn't remember the song, but it was We Haven't Made anyway, which was over 100 takes. But yeah, it's a good track. Followed by Tell Me, which was another song by Chester and Peter Chester and Bruce Welch, who wrote the big number one that year, Please Don't Tease. Followed by Ian Samuel again, this time writing with Hank Marvin, Gee Whiz It's You. And Gee Whiz It's You was so popular on this album that the fans actually demanded it be released as a single, and it got to number 4 in the singles chart. Followed by I Love You So, which is written by Ian Samuel, Jet Harris, and Cliff himself. And it's one of the first songs credited to Cliff on, I think it is the first song credited to Cliff on his own albums. He'd written a couple of songs before that. He wrote a song called Happy Like a Bell for his Oh Boy co-star Cherry Weiner. He wrote a couple of songs. He wrote a couple of instrumentals as well for the Shadows, notably Out of the Shadows. He wrote a song called Some Are Lonely, which is absolutely beautiful as well. So that follows a nice little song, I'm Willing to Learn, which I love as well. Followed by another Ian Samuel, this time a slower song by Ian Samuel called I Don't Know, and it finishes with probably my favourite song in the album years ago. Wouldn't be my favourite song now, but it's still, I love hearing it working after school, which I absolutely still love. So this is a great album. This is as I say, my favourite of all Cliff's early albums. Absolutely loved the years. I've loved it right through the years. And to me, before the Beatles, there was pretty much only 2 great British rock and roll albums, I feel. And one was The Sound of Fury by Billy Fury, and this one, Me and My Shadows, is definitely the second album. 2 just great, representing British rock and roll, and absolutely love it. And it's probably underrated. Needs to be mentioned. I know that Cliff was very proud of the fact that he was approached by members of Fleetwood Mac later in the early 70s, who said to Cliff that they they cut their teeth on this album. And Cliff is he still mentions it in an interview today, so I'd say Cliff is very proud of this album too. Me and My Shadows.